Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing some gouache painting. I'm still very obsessed with these Himi gouache paints that I got. You guys really seem to enjoy the last video I did with them, so I'm back again with some more painting. And I'm doing a sort of just like kind of a chill painting of this really cute girl, some clouds, something really soothing. I actually wanted to do a voiceover about sort of using art as therapy or as sort of a crutch for mental health, because I actually was going through quite a rough week when I decided to do this painting, and I thought it was just suiting, you know, to do a little chat about it. Of course, every single thing that I use in my videos and materials, everything is going to be linked down there in the description box. So if you guys are wondering, you can probably find them down there. I started off by kind of erasing a little bit of the pencil sketch that I did and going over it with this Prismacolor Col-Erase in Tuscan Red to do a cleaner version of the drawing in preparation for the paints. And just for everyone asking previously in my last video about whether or not the paints dry immediately, no they don't. Actually, it's been a few weeks since I opened them and used them for the first time, and I just opened them now for the video, and as you can see they're all still very wet, and this is even before I added any water to them to reactivate. They're all still jelly, so that's it for updates. And yeah, let's get into this sort of chat today. I wanted to discuss a little bit about my relationship with art and my relationship with art to do with my mental health, how I see art as sort of a help in terms of my therapy, I guess. For those of you who don't know, I have struggled with depression and anxiety for a number of years now, since I was pretty much a teen. So, also Devin made me a matcha tea. Yeah, sorry, I thought I should mention. It was actually really good. So yeah, I have struggled with mental health for a number of years. So yeah, let's talk about it. So my relationship with art has always been present. Ever since I was very little, I've always loved art, and I was a very shy child. I didn't like making a scene. I was not loud. Even as a baby, I was always sleeping. So when I started drawing, it was like this wonderful escape. I could sit down for hours and draw, and my parents kind of loved that because I would just log out, and it was great. I do remember my mum always telling me that she would always take me to her veterinary conventions abroad, and she could always take me because I could just sit there and draw the whole time, and I would never be a nuisance or a bother. So art has always been something that calmed me and something that I could just log into and log out of life, apparently, ever since I was little. So I guess I've always seen art, or just, you know, anything creative, as a friend, an ally, I guess you could say. I've always found that art helps me relax. Even if I don't realize it at the moment, art does allow me to sort of log out. It's sort of like a meditation process. I feel like at first, if I wasn't doing this for as many years as I have, at first it could be kind of daunting, just like meditation is, but the more you do it, the more beneficial it becomes and the easier it becomes. And I guess that's what art has been to me for all these years, just sort of a way that I can log out from the world and kind of just do this very soothing activity and not have to think about any of the issues at hand. I can just give my mind a rest, which I guess sometimes is very necessary. Sometimes, you know, I'm the kind of person that just kind of bottles things up and lets things pile on and problems pile on without, realizing. And then once in a while, everything will just kind of implode in my face. I guess a lot of people get that. And I feel like sitting down and drawing or painting or crocheting even is a really good way for me to stop and let my mind rest from all the worrying, and I actually usually come out with a much clearer head to solve whatever problem I have at hand. It helps me with my anxiety and my panic attacks a lot. I will get into that a bit later. But yeah, I feel like it just helps me turn my brain off. I literally don't actually remember what I ever think about while I'm painting. I genuinely just log out and I don't really know what goes through my head, which is good. It means I'm not worrying. It means I'm just letting my mind wander without any fear or any anxiety attributed to it. And I guess I'll put some music on or a TV show on that I've already seen a million times as in the background, and I just let myself paint. It's very soothing. Especially painting and drawing and doing something that I know I can do. So something that I feel like my skills are better at than others. I feel like that's always better, because I do have some stuff I want to talk about trying something new with art, because that sometimes gives people anxiety, and I wanted to discuss that a little bit from my point of view. But yeah, art, it's super lovely and it helps me calm down. Even when I'm not actively doing anything creative or artistic in a moment, if I feel very panicky, I like to think about what artworks I want to do next, or think about concepts for paintings, or even thinking about, stories for comics or anything. I just feel like the thought of, the prospect of art and being able to be like, okay, maybe not right now, but soon enough I'll be able to sit down and paint. And just the thought of that kind of calms me down, which is quite nice. Yeah, it's always a place of safety and a place of comfort for me, even if I'm not there at a given moment where I feel anxious or out of place, or where I feel like I'm gonna get really anxious. Thinking about my safe place always helps. So I always describe my sketchbook and my drawing as a place that is judgment-free, a safe place. It's free of judgment, it's free of guilt, it's free of anyone else's opinions but yours. It's my own little safe haven. I feel like seeing art as that is probably one of the best things you can train yourself to do. Even in your sketchbooks, if it's a drawing that you think isn't that good, it's fine, because you are aware that that no one's gonna see it unless you let them, and it's your little safe space. And even if the drawing didn't come out the way you wanted it to, you still got the beneficial relaxation from the process of doing it. So trusting the journey of actually making art is just as important as making the art. So this brings me to this particular piece that I'm painting in this video. I was in kind of a bad headspace this week. I have been struggling a lot with anxiety and depression, obviously, as many of us I think have, even more so this year, these past few months. Just, some stress, a lot of stress. And again, they'd all been piling up, and I feel like they were all kind of blowing up in my face during this week. And I kind of had to hype myself up to actually sit down and paint this. Sometimes it feels really daunting to try and be productive or try and paint something when you're feeling really, really down. But, after 2 days of taking care of myself and just prepping as much as I could to remove the element of anxiety from painting. So I did some tests, some color tests, I did sketches in preparation for it. So sometimes if you feel like you need to prepare more in order to feel more confident in sitting down and doing a painting from start to finish, do whatever you need to do, because sometimes I need to do that as well. then I can actually just enjoy the process of painting without worrying about messing up, or if I'm making the right color decisions, or, you know, any of those other anxieties that come with creating art sometimes. I can confirm that I did feel much better after I finished this painting. I wasn't perfect, but I was definitely feeling miles better than I was at the beginning of the day. It takes a while to get in that meditative headspace. At first it still feels kind of awful, and like it's like such an effort to just sit down and do anything, but after a while and sticking with it, it starts to help you feel soothed, and I start feeling like myself again. That's kind of my sort of process mentally with this painting. Getting back to feeling excited about art is the same as me getting back to feeling excited about life and being happy. So yeah, the more I paint something and the more it turns out the way I wanted it to, the more positive I feel like I get, which is nice. And then I actually wanted to get into, as I said, talking about experimentation with art and how that can be really daunting for anyone who does suffer from anxiety. I do understand that art can be a big source of stress and anxiety for some people, especially people who are still developing and honing their skills. That's completely normal. Like, we've all been there. I'm sometimes there as well when I'm trying new things. But you have to think that, you know, everyone who climbs a ladder starts off at the bottom. You know, no one really starts off at step 5 or step 6. So you just gotta trust the process and try to enjoy the actual, you know, journey of painting something. Appreciate the mental benefits that being creative and doing something creative gives you, and don't stress so much about the aspect of, is it good, are people gonna like it, should I even post this on social media? Don't even think about those things, or avoid thinking about those things, because it's probably just gonna remove the positive aspects of creating art for yourself. And this is why I always recommend people to have like a messy sketchbook, where it's a sketchbook where you won't show anyone, and you establish that it's a sketchbook that no one will see, and you're just free to draw as badly as you want in there, and then all the bad drawings are there, and you don't have to feel stressed about doing them. I do like experimenting with my art. I usually don't when I'm feeling down. I try to go to, as I said, like a comforting place, a place where I know I can create something nice, something that I'll enjoy without the stress of, you know, being hard on myself. I normally reserve the experimentation to when I'm feeling a little bit better mentally, but it's awesome because then I learn a new skill or a new tool in my toolkit, as I like to say, for another day when I might be feeling down. Another thing that I wanted to talk about in terms of experimenting and, you know, trying new things with your art, when art is not good, does it not make you feel worse, is a question that I get quite often. And the answer that I've started giving is actually no, because again, I've been training myself to remove the pressure of always constantly making good art. It's not feasible, and it's not true, and it's not real. Whatever you might see on social media, no one is putting out 100% of 100% bangers all the time. I always like to think that, you know, for every good, amazing piece of art, there's probably like 50, 60, maybe 100 really bad sketches, drawings, and doodles. And that goes for everyone. Not just me. That probably goes for most of the people you see on your timelines. So I've tried to, you know, train myself over the years to remove the pressure of every artwork I make has to be amazing. Every sketch I do has to look beautiful and quote unquote Instagram worthy. Yeah, that's not true. That's not feasible. And the sooner you can like train yourself to think like that, the better, because then sitting down to draw becomes a lot less daunting. Sitting down to draw becomes a lot more of a safe space rather than a workspace. So yeah, I just try to enjoy the process of my brain being able to take a rest, as opposed to trying to like force myself to make something really good. And whether that be drawing the same thing over and over again for like 2 weeks, that's fine, because not only am I giving my brain a rest, but yeah, I'm still, you know, keeping my practice, keeping my hand warmed up, and I'm still, you know, still getting those sketches in. It's important to keep your creative brain active, even if you're not doing anything new or quote unquote Instagram worthy. It's absolutely fine. Art isn't meant to just be something you can post on social media all the time. Just keep reminding yourself why you actually enjoy doing art, and once you mentalize yourself that that's why you create art, doing bad drawings is going to affect you a lot less. Even if I am doing a bad sketch and I realize that it doesn't look that great, I'll just keep going with it. I'll maybe even start another one. Or maybe if I do 7 drawings, I'll just keep going, even if I realize I'm having a bad drawing day, because just the act of sitting down and putting pencil on paper just helps my brain like soothe itself, heal itself, relax, and it helps me work through a lot of my problems and just, you know, realize that my problems are a lot smaller than I'm probably making them out to be, or come up with a solution that I hadn't thought about earlier because I was too wrapped up in my own anxiety. So I take the process of drawing as sort of a therapeutic exercise, as opposed to working for an output or a product at the end. And as I said, whether that be doing your go-to sketches and doodles, I normally go to drawing the same sort of female face, or drawing an OC that I really love, an original character, or maybe drawing some simple drawing of leaves or some simple foliage. Whatever it is, I feel like everyone's got their go-to doodle, you know, their little thing that they draw whenever they're mindlessly waiting for something. I'd say go for that and draw it as many times as you want or as you need, without judgment or guilt. Drawing is never a waste of time. I think never ever a waste of time. So if you ever feel like you need to log off, but you still want to be quote unquote productive, and you don't want to feel like you're wasting time, I feel like drawing is always a good way to go. Never waste a time, because even when you are drawing something that's not going to turn into anything, it's still giving you the mental benefits of logging out and feeding your creative brain. I normally go for portraits and a little foliage here and there. Even if it's the same face I've drawn a million times before, it doesn't matter, because I draw for myself. Yeah, another thing that I think kind of ties into this topic is art block and my mental health. What to do, really, essentially. I know that it's very common for when you're feeling down or anxious or depressed that, you know, art block normally rears its head, unfortunately, but that's completely normal. And this is again where your go-to sketches and your safety place doodles come in, because you don't always have to be drawing something new. If you just feel like you need to sit down and draw the same thing over and over again, and maybe you won't even like what you're drawing at the moment, that's absolutely fine. I have a different video that I did a few years ago where I discuss art block and how I deal with art block, and the main thing that I discussed in that video was that I feel like you have to draw yourself out of art block. It's like a little puddle that you have to tread through, or you know, some quicksand you have to run out of. And whether that be drawing like 30 bad drawings or 100 bad drawings, you just got to draw yourself out of art block. And whether that be your go-to sketches or just trying to draw faces over and over again, maybe getting them wrong over and over again, but eventually you will start getting out of art block and hopefully starting to feel better mentally as well. So I feel like that technique, so to say, applies here as well. Draw without judgment. Be less afraid of the fact that you're probably going to dislike a lot of the art that you make. That's absolutely fine. You don't again, you don't have to be putting out 100% bangers, because no one does. Just be confident in yourself and that you are not a failure. You're just like anyone else, okay? You're not terrible, horrible at art. You're just like anyone else. Everyone's at different stages in their process, in their little art journey. So just trust the process. Finally, I also wanted to discuss depression in particular and art, because I get a lot of questions about people asking me, how do you feel motivated to do art when you feel depressed? How do you get yourself out of bed and just get into a drawing headspace? And the quick answer is that I just sometimes don't. As much as I know that art helps me with my mental health, and as much as I know how therapeutic it is, sometimes I just really cannot do it, and I cannot do anything. You know, if you struggle with depression, you know the feeling of not being able to do anything. Just even talking is an effort beyond understanding. And on those days, during those really bad periods of brain activity, it's absolutely fine and acceptable to just not do anything. And that's sometimes what your brain needs. I try to do something else because, you know, I do have other coping mechanisms besides art, thankfully. It's good to have a toolkit, you know, not just one hammer. It's good to have different things. So yeah, on those days where I think, okay, do I want to draw? And my brain goes, no, absolutely not. No, we cannot sit down and draw right now because I can't do that right now. And if your brain's telling you that, you know, listen to it and be like, okay, are you just saying that, or do you really mean that? And if you feel like it's just good old anxiety telling you that you can't do it, try to do a little bit of art and see how you feel. If it still feels awful, impossible, and that it's making you feel worse, it's fine. Just don't do it. You can try something else or try it again tomorrow. Sometimes, especially during the last year, I have not been drawing as much as I would have been usually. I feel like I have been taking weeks off where I don't draw, or there was even a period where I went a month or two without drawing because I just couldn't get myself to sit down and draw. It just felt too daunting to do even that, and that's absolutely fine. I just accepted it, and I tried to do anything else that didn't make me feel awful, whether that is going for a walk or having a cup of tea or just watching the same stupid sitcom TV show on repeat for weeks. Whatever it is that you need to do to get yourself back on that horse, it is absolutely fine. Art as therapy isn't going to work 100% of the time because, you know, different occasions call for different solutions. Sometimes I want to draw, sometimes I just want to sit in bed and cry for a while, and that's absolutely okay. Note how many times I'm saying that's absolutely okay in this video. Don't know if I'm trying to convince myself or convince you guys, but let's just roll with it. And then the second I start feeling a little bit better, my brain immediately is like, okay, we can draw now. You know, sometimes I just gotta get myself out of that, you know, 10th percentile of the ultimate brain rot where I can't do anything, so I can feel just a little bit better and a little bit more in the mood to do anything creative. And that's when I'll take advantage of this little shift in mood and get on my creative juice and start doing some drawings. And from then on, it's usually smooth sailing. I can draw a little bit at a time, and slowly it makes me feel better. And then I have this really funny thing every time that I have like a relapse or a bad week or something like that, and I feel like I can't draw for days on end. And then suddenly when I start feeling a bit better, when I start getting out of that hole, which I always do, and you always will too. Yeah, I start drawing and immediately my brain's like, oh, this is awesome. Why don't we do this every time? Gosh, I always forget how much I love drawing and how much it helps me. And I'm like, yeah, we know this. And it's funny how I have that exact same brain journey or mental journey every time I have mental health relapses. But yeah, it's quite a nice, I always relate it to like relief. It's like a nice relief when you start feeling normal, when you start enjoying the things that you know you enjoy. It's like you start feeling more like yourself. And that's when I start feeling more capable of doing other things that up until now felt impossible. Art is like that hand that helps you out of a hole, out of a well, you know, pulls you out, and you just gotta be willing to take it. God, that's deep. Sorry for all the weird metaphors in today's voiceover. I just kind of ramble a lot when it comes to mental health. I guess what I want to leave you guys with is remember to stay hydrated, remember to take care of yourself, remember to not be hard on yourselves with your whatever it is that you do that makes you feel better, because it's not about the output, it's not about the conclusion, it's about why you do it and the benefits of the actual activity of doing it. So if you started doing art because it makes you feel happy and it makes you feel soothed and at peace with the world, then do art, even if someone tells you it doesn't look good, because it doesn't matter. And drink loads of water, take care of yourselves. I hope everyone is feeling okay, everyone's having a good day. If not, I hope you start feeling better very, very soon. Let me know in the comments what you do to help, you know, when you're feeling down, because obviously I probably should have prefaced this at the beginning of the video, but it's different for everyone, obviously, very different for everyone. This is just my personal experience with mental health and using art as a therapeutic process. Obviously, it's not going to be the same for everyone watching this video, but yeah, let me know what you do, if it's art, and if it's something else, let me know. I'd love to hear it. Let me know also if you do use art as a sort of a therapeutic process. Yeah, let me know what you normally do and how it helps you. Yeah, that brings us to the end of this voiceover. Sorry if it was a little too deep or a little too serious, but I don't know. It's a topic that I'm quite passionate about, so I wanted to discuss it with you guys in a nice, lighthearted tone. This is obviously the best part of the painting process, you know, the peeling of the tape. Those crisp lines, there's nothing like it. And yeah, I then just signed the painting. I'm just using a fine liner for it because, you know, a bit lazy. And that was it for today's painting. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I love these colors. I feel like I always go for the same sort of color palette, but then again, this was a soothing painting for me, and I wanted to do something that felt like comfort. So therefore, we have this color palette. I hope you guys enjoy this video. I hope you feel nice and relaxed after it. And yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye-bye!